is Will, the original OG, old guy again, coming at you. Tonight we want to talk about a little bit about the Tyre Nichols traffic stop that ensued back in January. In this video, we're going to watch one of several segments that took place as far as the beating of Mr. Nichols. If you hadn't heard that Mr. Nichols, Tyre Nichols, was stopped on a traffic stop around 8:20 p.m. on January 7th, 2023 of this year. He was pulled over by Memphis police and several unmarked units on a traffic stop. When Mr. Nichols was pulled out of his car, first of all, he probably didn't know what was going on because so many unmarked cars surrounded his traffic light. So when the officers tried to pull him out, quite naturally he resisted and he started fighting. In that fight, Mr. Nichols was pepper sprayed and he was also tasered several times, but he continued to fight on according to what was seen in the video. And while pepper spraying Mr. Nichols, several officers received the residue effect of the pepper spray that was ejected on Mr. Nichols. Mr. Nichols evidently overpowered these 3, 4, 5 officers that were on a traffic stop, and he took off running down the street. Remember that his car was still at the traffic light, so there was no way in the world he was going to be able to get back to his car. So as Mr. Nichols ran down the street, several officers took off after him, but weren't able to catch him. So a few moments or minutes later, Mr. Nichols was finally caught. I couldn't help but notice that all the unprofessionalism that I saw with so much profanity coming from the mouths of these officers, it was unbelievable, because that's not the way a professional officer conducts himself in any type of manner. Also, I wanted to let you know the names of these officers and a few other things about these particular officers. They were in a task force that were primarily responsible for suppressing crime in certain areas of the city. So when Mr. Nichols was stopped, other officers arrived on the scene. And the 5 officers that were initially charged in Mr. Nichols' death are as follows. First one was Justin Smith, who was a black male, 28 years of age. He's 5'11" tall, 205 pounds. And I'm giving specifically the weight of these individuals for a particular reason, and I'll explain that after I tell you all 5 of them. The second officer was Demetrius Haley. He's also a black male, 30 years of age, 6 feet tall, 6 feet 1 inches tall, and he weighed 260 pounds. Desmond Miller Jr., black male, 32 years of age, 5 foot 8 inches tall, he weighed 297 pounds. Emmett Martin III, black male, 30 years of age, he's 6 foot 3 inches tall, and he weighed 270 pounds. And Tadarius Beam, he's also a black male, 24 years of age, 5 foot 10, and he weighed 230 pounds. Now keep in mind, Mr. Nichols only weighed about maybe 150, 175 pounds. The total combined weight of these 5 officers, who could not contain one individual, amounted to 1,262 pounds. That just literally, I'm going to call it like it is. It is literally beat him to death. They beat the guy to death. Now, there was one object that was definitely used, and you can see it in the video, that one of the officers came up and they struck Mr. Nichols with it. It's called an aspartame. This is an aspartame that most officers carry. I carried one when I was on duty. And when it's closed, it's approximately 9 inches in length. and it's made of steel also, by the way. But when you open it up, which is just a flick of the wrist, it expands to over 26 inches in length, and it's solid steel. In the video, you can see one of the officers get his revenge by beating or striking Mr. Nichols with this thing several times. And it's kind of heavy also. Okay, it's pretty heavy. So not only was Mr. Nichols stomped to death, he was beat to death with this aspartame. And you see also in the video that he was also kicked in the head several times. It's very unfortunate, and what we call that occurred in this video, you will see, is what we call a pack mentality. When one person jumps on an individual, it's just like dogs, they all jump in and get their shots, revenge shots or whatever, because of what Mr. Nichols put them through as far as embarrassment and other things. I'm still appalled as far as all the stuff that I saw in this video. I really am. And most of my friends that were in law enforcement also, who are now retired, feel the same way. This is not how good officers conduct their business. And as far as I'm concerned, these 5+ officers should have never ever been given a badge. They should have been vetted, thorough background investigation, and the ball was definitely dropped by this department. And a psychological exam especially, several times throughout the years. But I was just amazed at how young these officers were, the total combined weight of them, and how they just literally killed this man. So this is the video. If you see right here, the guy on the far left, he has the aspartame in his hand, and he's already taken several swings at Mr. Nichols. And I'm counting 5 officers there along with Mr. Nichols in the center of the pack. If you also look on the far right-hand side, they're pulling at Mr. Nichols in all kind of different directions. Instead of putting him on the ground, putting handcuffs on him, and being done with this situation, they continue to do their thing. Not only using the aspartame, you also notice that they're swinging at him and doing other, hitting him in the head. They're pulling at him from all different directions, and a couple of upper shots to the face there. Mr. Nichols is in handcuffs at that time because you can see his hands are behind his back as they're doing all of this. It's just so sad, so sad. They're on top of the guy. And literally, they just basically tired themselves out from beating Mr. Nichols. Remember the combined weight I told you? You see 3 or 4 officers that are on his legs and on his back and kneeling over him at this point. I'm appalled. I really am. I've never seen it. And watch this guy. 2 more come in. Kick to the head right there. And these guys are so bright, they don't realize that there's a street camera behind them that is videoing what you're watching from right now. This is just shocking. It's totally unbelievable. One has both of his legs, so I guess I got the flashlight, want to check to make sure, I don't know. Now Mr. Nichols is on the ground. He rolls over on his back, and I'm more than sure when they put those handcuffs on him, they cranked him down. So now he's laying on both his hands with the handcuffs behind him. I guarantee you that is not comfortable at all. So basically, this is about when all the kicking and fighting stops. In a later video, you will find out, or you will see it, how these guys, I guess they finally come to their senses and realize their body cameras were recording, and how they try to get their act together by stating that Mr. Nichols tried to get one of their guns and all kind of stuff, but they wanted to make sure they all heard it so that they can all be on the same page. Well, folks, just let me know what you think about this, and we will continue on. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue on with my with these videos and keep you informed as to how things are going.